The air in the library was thick with the scent of aged paper and something else, something electric. I was reaching for the worn copy of Withery Heights on the top shelf when a hand, not mine, brushed against the small of my back, steadying me. My breath hitched. It was Ethan. He didn't pull away immediately. His palm felt warm and solid through the thin cotton of my shirt, sending a jolt straight down my spine that made my own heart hammer against my ribs like a trapped bird. I could feel the heat radiating off him, the unexpected closeness making my cheeks flush. I turned slowly, my eyes meeting his. They were the color of warm whiskey, intense, and for a long moment they searched mine with an unnerving, focused attention that felt like a physical touch. The silence stretched between us, charged and taut, pulling the air out of the room. A slow, almost imperceptible smile curled the corner of his mouth, and he leaned in, his voice a low, gravelly whisper that was just for me. "Careful, Maya. Don't want you falling for the wrong Heathcliff." His breath ghosted over my ear, sending shivers everywhere. My own voice was barely a squeak as I managed, "Wouldn't dream of it," but the lie tasted bitter. He finally took his hand away, the sudden coolness of the air where his touch had been feeling like a loss. He reached up, effortlessly plucking the book down. Our fingers brushed again as he handed it to me, that subtle contact sending the tension right back through the roof. He kept his eyes locked on mine, a challenge and a promise swirling in their depth. Then a voice cut through the bubble we had created, a bright, cheerful, feminine voice. "Ethan, there you are. I was just telling Liam what an absolute gentleman you are for helping me move the boxes." And there she was, Chloe, my best friend since kindergarten, radiant and completely oblivious, walking straight toward us, her arm looping possessively through the arm of my friend, Liam. Ethan's expression shifted instantly, the intensity in his eyes replaced by a familiar, easygoing charm, and he stepped back, putting distance between us. "Hey, Chloe," he said, the warmth in his voice making my stomach drop. My eyes flickered between the two of them, the heat from a moment ago turning into a cold, sinking dread. I knew in that instant that Ethan would protect me from anything, from anyone. But as Chloe beamed up at him, her hand touching his arm in a way that felt far too natural, a terrifying question formed in my mind. What if the person he swore he'd protect me from was her? The library had emptied out, but the echo of Chloe's laughter and Ethan's immediate response still rang in the air around me. I hugged the copy of Wuthering Heights to my chest, its pages doing little to stabilize the frantic beating of my heart. The cold dread I'd felt a moment ago solidified into a sharp, painful ache, a feeling I'd become too familiar with this past year. Ethan and I. Our history wasn't a sudden spark. It was a slow, inevitable burn, built over a decade of shared secrets, late-night talks, and the kind of easy companionship that felt like breathing. He was my shelter, the constant in my chaotic life. But lately, shelter felt like a gilded cage. I remembered last spring, the night I'd totaled my car. He'd arrived before the tow truck, pulling me into a tight embrace, his heart thumping hard against my cheek. "God, Maya, I almost lost you." He breathed into my hair. That night, sitting in the silence of his truck, the scent of pine and his familiar cologne surrounding me, I looked at him under the faint glow of the dash lights and seen it, the depth of feeling that went far beyond best friend. And I knew he saw the same in my eyes. The space between us was paper thin, charged with an intensity that promised everything. But the moment was broken by a panicked call from Liam, a simple friend check-in that shattered the fragile bubble. Now, that intensity was a hidden current, running beneath the surface of our carefully maintained friendship. Like the other day, we were setting up a bonfire, and he tried to lift a heavy log, his shirt riding up slightly. I didn't mean to stare, but the glimpse of his defined side, the line of his muscles taut, made my mouth go dry. When he glanced up and caught me watching, he just paused, his gaze lingering, that slow, knowing smile spreading across his face. "Enjoying the view, Maya?" he murmured, his voice laced with playful challenge. I countered quickly, "Just checking for splinters, you amateur." But my heart betrayed me, pounding a furious rhythm that I prayed he couldn't hear across the distance. It was these little moments, the shared glance across a crowded room, the extra second his hand rested on my shoulder, the way he always brought me coffee exactly how I liked it without asking, that kept the tension simmering. The problem wasn't just my desire for Ethan. It was Chloe, my beautiful, kind, and devastatingly charming best friend. A month ago, she and Liam had decided to take a break, and Chloe, with her usual flair for dramatic recovery, had latched on to Ethan. He was attentive, he was available, and he saw the vulnerability beneath her bright exterior. He was protecting her now, too. And I saw the cracks forming in Ethan's resolve. He was trying to be the perfect friend to her, the loyal friend to me, but I sensed his distraction. His texts to me had become shorter. His time was no longer just mine. I watched through the library window as Chloe and Ethan walked away, their heads close, laughing at something she said. He reached out to tuck a stray hair behind her ear, a small, intimate gesture that felt like a betrayal. I pressed my back against the cool shelves, the wood digging into my skin. Was he truly falling for her, or was he burying his own feelings for me under a mountain of protectiveness for the girl he thought needed him more? I swallowed hard, the taste of unspoken truth metallic on my tongue. I had to know, before I lost him completely. The climax was coming, and I was terrified of who would be left standing when the dust settled. The breaking point arrived a week later, not with a bang, but with the quiet intensity of a Friday night movie marathon at my place. Chloe had canceled last minute, something about a headache, leaving just Ethan and me sprawled on our oversized couch. The air was thick with unspoken history, heavy and warm. We were watching an old action movie, but neither of us was paying attention. I was acutely aware of every movement, the way his arm rested along the back of the couch, a hair's breadth from my shoulder, the way the soft lamplight caught his sharp angle of his jaw. Every time he shifted, the faint scent of his cologne reached me, pulling me back to that moment in the library, to the touch on my back. "She really likes you, you know," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. My voice was tight, edged with a bitterness I tried to mask as casual observation. He turned his head slowly, his eyes narrowing slightly as he met mine. "Who? Chloe?" His tone was neutral, but I detected a flash of something guarded in his gaze. "Yeah, it's pretty obvious," I continued, forcing a smile that felt brittle. The jealousy was a hot, ugly thing coiling in my gut, twisting with every image of him laughing together. "He needs someone stable right now, someone to look out for her." He looked away, staring straight ahead at the meaningless explosions on the screen, but his hand tightened almost imperceptibly on the back of the couch. "And you don't?" I whispered, the honesty a raw ache in my throat. I shifted, closing the small, dangerous gap between us, my knee now pressing against his thigh. The contact was instant fire, a rush of heat that made my breath shallow. He inhaled sharply, his gaze snapping back to mine, dark and troubled. His usual control was visibly fraying. "Don't, Maya." His voice was low, a warning but lacking any real conviction. I saw the internal battle raging behind his eyes, the loyalty to Chloe, the fear of shattering our friendship, and the unmistakable scorching longing that mirrored my own. I reached up slowly, my fingers tracing the line of his jaw, the slight stubble ruff beneath my touch. It was a bold, forbidden move, a test of his restraint. Tell me you don't feel this, I challenged, leaning closer until the warmth of his breath mingled with mine. The movie's noise faded into a distant buzz. All that existed was the charged space between us, the pounding of my heart echoing the desperate thump of his. He was inches away from breaking his promise to the one girl he swore to protect, and it wasn't me. His eyes fluttered shut for a brief, agonizing second. When they opened, they were dark with temptation. "Maya, I can't," he finally choked out. But even as he said the words, his free hand came up, not to push me away, but to rest gently, almost tentatively on my wrist. The touch was agonizingly soft, but the message was clear. He was at his limit. I knew the next move would either destroy everything or change it all. The air in the living room was suffocating.